We sold the sectional. I made $50. We got something new. And then I, just had one of those like light bulb over your head moments. I was like, maybe we can make something out of this.
Your background in the military with your come up in the couch flipping game as an entrepreneur, like how do you sort of see those two forces playing out in your life?
You hit the nail on the head. Since I was young, I always had a craving for being creative. I always wanted to do sort of my own thing. And in the military, you wear the same uniform as everybody. So there was a huge aspect of my life that was missing. You want to stay small so that your identity resonates with the customer.
It's funny how like the narrative has changed in the couch flipping community. Like 6 months ago, we as a company were getting a ton of flack.
If you don't have haters, you're not successful. But I used to do some real sharp negotiating tactics that I'm not proud of.
What does Griff's Furniture Emporium look like in 2024? On this episode of the Couch Pod, I have a very special guest with me who needs no introduction, especially with all of the branding behind him, Michael Griffing of Griff's Furniture Emporium. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
Charles, how you doing today? Thank you for having me on the podcast, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm super excited. I've been trying to get you on the pod for a while now, and you've been a bit of an elusive target, but if there's anyone that I can think of in the couch flipping community that I consider an OG, one of the original gangsters of couch flipping, you're definitely a top contender.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I'm glad our schedules finally got together. I know you're a busy guy. I'm super busy, so yeah, I'm excited to do this and do it more frequently too.
Absolutely. So for those in the audience that don't know who you are, maybe you could give them a little bit of an introduction, how you got started and what the couch flipping game looked like back then.
Hey, absolutely. So my name is Michael Griffing. I own Griff's Furniture Emporium, and honestly, I've been doing it since 2013. That's when I bought my first sectional on Craigslist. I paid $300 for it, and it served its purpose while we lived in Hawaii. Yeah, my wife and I, we just started our family. We lived in a small little apartment while we were waiting for base housing. I'm active duty in the Marine Corps, closing in on 19 years, and our first apartment in Hawaii, we were trying to furnish it, and we did with this sectional from Craigslist, and everything was great. It served its purpose for about 6 months until base housing opened up on Hawaii and we moved. Once we moved into the base housing, the sectional was it was way too small for the area. And I had a truck in Hawaii, which is kind of is very rare over there. Gas prices were astronomical. We had this sectional. We were still using it as small as it was for our new home. I posted it up on Craigslist as we were looking for another one for $350. I was like, whatever. Let's see if we can make a little bit of a profit on there. I posted up there for $350. I said, I got a truck. If you need, I can bring it to your home, no problem. And I mean, honestly, Charles, within 30 minutes of doing that, my phone just lit up. Emails left and right, and people were dying to have this sectional. As I was doing that, I was taking some business classes. I don't know if anybody who's watching this is familiar with Storage Wars, but I was obsessed with that show. I saw this. We sold the sectional. I made $50. We got something new, and then I, just had one of those like light bulb over your head moments. I was like, maybe we could make something out of this. We got a new garage in this house that we got on base housing, and I was like, why don't we throw a couple of couches in the garage and maybe I can pay for my supplement addiction. I was putting a lot of money into protein and all this stuff. It was ridiculous. So I was like, maybe this is a way I can subsidize some of my bad habits, and that's what it just started out off as. I had like a little 3-seater couch that would just sit in my garage. I'd buy it for $100, turn around, resell it for $200, and that was kind of the seed that was planted for something much bigger.
Must be talking about a lot of supplements here.
A little bit of protein. I only expected to make like $50 a month. That was it. I thought maybe 1 or 2 couches, and now we're having we average 2.5 sales a day. We've come a long way, and it was just me, a little Bissell cleaner, my garage, and my black pickup truck that I still have to this day. Yeah, I didn't expect for this to turn into a career or anything outside of just something for a little bit of extra pocket cash,
Yeah. What's really interesting about your story is that you have a background in the military, you're a Marine, and at the time in 2013, there's no blueprint. Like in 2024, there's a blueprint. More or less. Like you listen to this podcast, you join the Facebook groups, etc. There's a community and people know roughly how to go about buying a couch, cleaning it, staging it, taking photos and selling it. So there's information out there, but none of that existed 10 years ago. And forgive me for this impression, maybe it's unfounded, but the military is known for having structure and following order and being orderly. Whereas entrepreneurship entrepreneurship seems to be a little bit different. Like there's this sort of innovation or the appetite to go against the current, right? To be contrarian in a way. And I'm wondering, like, how do you feel about your background in the military with your come up in the couch flipping game as an entrepreneur? Like, how do you sort of see those two forces playing out in your life?
Do you dream of being the undisputed top couch flipper in your market? Hard work alone won't get you there. The secret? Working smarter, not just harder. Enter Ivy Flip. You're listening to our podcast to get the cutting edge when it comes to tactics for running your flipping business. So why not also have the cutting edge when it comes to technology for your couch flipping empire? Ivy Flip has the best sourcing app for couch flippers in the world. With Ivy Flip, you won't have anxiety about missing a couch deal. We will work 24 hours a day to notify you as soon as the deals you're after are posted, meaning you'll get there before your competition and with a fraction of the effort. And right now, we are offering a 1-week free trial to new users. Try it out before it's too late. Just search Ivy Flip in the iOS App Store or the Google Play Store now, or click the link in bio.
You hit the nail on the head. With the military, everything is structured. You know, you have standard operating procedures, you have the status quo, there's a ton of bureaucracy. And, this is the way we do things around here is a very typical thing that's said in the military. Since I was young, I always had a craving for being creative. You know, I always wanted to do sort of my own thing. And in the military, you wear the same uniform as everybody. So there was a huge aspect of my life that was missing. And it was like creative endeavors, ways to help people. I do think that it was something that was burning inside. Obviously, I wanted to make a lot of money. That's number one. But I didn't want to deliver pizzas. I didn't want to work for somebody else. I wanted to keep in touch with the civilian world because in the military, everything is yes, sergeant, no sergeant, staff sergeant, sir, this, that, and I appreciate and that's instilled a lot of discipline in me, but it's not really in line with the real world, and having human conversations. And I think one of the great things that this business has outside of a ton of money that's changed my life is really connecting with civilians and talking to them because I'm coming now as I'm about to retire, I'm going to have to go back into the civilian world, and you want to have the proper communication skills. But I think what the military did for me was laid out the foundation. It laid out the structure, all of these different standard operating procedures, all of these different things that are the foundation of any great business is applied to what I do here. Those are like X's and the O's, all the things that you need to have. But then outside of the framework, you want to put your own little style on it, your own, your innovative tendencies and all these new ideas. So I think when I was just so, lost in the Marine Corps or just stuck into that rut, I was just, looking for a way to explore. Never did I think that it was going to be my next career or anything like that. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Couch flippers, for a lot of people, is just a side hustle. They get in, they get out, they try it for 6 months, 12 months. But it makes sense to me that you've been essentially a monolith in couch flipping, doing it for 10 years. I actually don't think I've met another person flipping couches for 10 years.
And nobody was doing it back then. It was empty. Nobody was. It was, so the inspiration came. I was taking business classes, loved Storage Wars, but there was this guy, his name was Staff Sergeant Seward, and he used to actually do the Storage Wars stuff. He would go on, legitimately do the storage auctions. I was just impressed with this guy because while he was a Marine from 7 in the morning until, 1600, we wore the same uniform. He had really nice stuff. He had an awesome car. His house was filled with beautiful things. Then I realized that you're not just a Marine from 07 till 16. There's other things that you can do. It was like a paradigm shift that not only can you do that, but the opportunity to become something else is as naive as that may be or as basic as that might be. It kind of just opened up a door because of that guy took a risk. He took chances. He just bought and resold storage units, and he focused primarily on smalls. He would sell golf balls, golf clubs, stuff like that. Really small items, not high profit margins, but the guy just loved selling things. I realized all it takes is just a little bit of hustle, a good idea, and focused effort, and you can pretty much have whatever you want in life.
It's a powerful combination like this. If you have that creativity in a time where no one else is doing what you're doing, you have to be creative, right? There's no blueprint, combined with the rigidity of the military, like the SOPs, right? This is how things go, and the consistency of it. And so what do you think has been more important for your success overall in the couch flipping game, like this rigidity in the process or the creativity and the innovation?
I think, honestly, creativity and innovation. We do a lot of the same same things multiple times over. But I think just being all right with it, not everything doesn't have to be perfect. You don't, like, a lot of people will wait until like their business is perfect, until they have the perfect warehouse, until they have the perfect couch, until they have like all of their systems are set up and aligned perfect. And while you're waiting for perfect to happen, so much time has passed, so much opportunity has passed. You just need to be okay. You just need to be good enough to get going, and then just be open to enhancing or getting better as you go. And I think that is a big problem that, many people have, not just in couch flipping, but business in general. They're waiting for things to be perfect, and while that happens, the opportunity is kind of slipping away.
How do you think the game has changed in the past decade of couch flipping? Like, you've seen people come and go, and the industry shift. What are some of the key differences between now and then?
Outside of like a million scammers, the competition has come up. Even just before our phone call, I think I interacted with 3 scammers. It's out of control. And they're not even robots now. They're just like real humans. I don't know what it is, but like, real people trying to get deposits, and it's messing up customers, their confidence in buying things on the marketplace. The scammers are really messing things up. That was not as there's always going to be scammers. There's always going to be people trying to take advantage of others. Way more prevalent now. But I think the biggest thing that's changed, I'll be honest with you, I mean, not market to market, things differ, but I don't think much has. There's always going to be a need for people who want affordable, comfortable furniture. I wouldn't say exactly too much. What is important is that if you're in this business, that you change, that you adapt, that you grow, and partner with people that help you make the business or whatever it is that you're doing better. I think we've changed a lot since then, since 2013.
I think that's important perspective, for someone that's been around to see the past 10 years of couch flipping, to know that fundamentally this is a simple business, right?
I'm sorry to interject. Small things change. For instance, like when I was getting going, Craigslist was number one. Facebook Marketplace wasn't even a thing. So like the avenues may change, like the marketplace or where you get the furniture from, that's changed a lot. There was a thing called Buku or Lejeune yard sales. That was the biggest thing for a little bit. Now Facebook seems to have come in and monopolized the industry, which I don't know if it's a bad thing. It's a convenient thing for me. I don't like all the changing. I like that it's all in one centralized location. Outside of that, I mean, it's a very basic business. It's a lemonade stand, Charles. As simple as it is, it's a very simple business that takes a little bit of effort and making the proper decisions.
I agree with you. And this is what I love about couch flipping is it's a simple business. And in America today, we have so many people that are living paycheck to paycheck, working W-2, 9 to 5, and maybe it's even double income household, husband and wife, and they're struggling to support their families, and they don't have enough leverage. They're getting paid $20 an hour, $30 an hour, and that's just not enough to really get ahead in our society anymore. And you need something like a business. But throughout my time as an entrepreneur, I've met countless people that try to pick my brain and, like, how do I start a business? How do I do something? And sometimes they have good ideas, but oftentimes I think their ideas are too complex for where they're at and basically not viable.
I'm sorry, man. We just have a customer. I'm just going to change location real quick, all right?
Okay. Speaking of changing with the times, Mike had to do a quick little location change here. That's part of the adaptability of being a flipper. Business never stops. Going back to this idea of couch flipping being a simple business at its core, this is what I love about it. Anyone who's in search of an opportunity, they're working maybe a dead-end W-2 job, 9 to 5, and they're living paycheck to paycheck. So many of these people over the years have come to me and said, what should I do? What business should I start? What do you think of my business idea? And oftentimes they want to start like a new social network or a dating app or these things that are just so complex that are very difficult to build. And while I encourage everyone to pursue their entrepreneurial hustle, it's also important to have self-awareness. What is going to be a good business for me? And the beauty of couch flipping is in its simplicity. Now, there's so many different ways that you can take it, but at its core, it's like people need couches and you need a way of buying those couches and selling those couches and a conduit for that. And the avenue might change. Like Facebook Marketplace didn't used to be the leader. Now it is. With the advent of scams happening, is that going to continue to be the case? Maybe OfferUp takes over. This is how markets transition. But if you focus on the fundamentals, then you can build a business that persists through time. And I think that's a really, really important message, Griff, to get out there at this point in time, because I know a lot of flippers are ready to throw in the towel. Like, we deal with flippers day in, day out, and we hear the cries for help. We hear the panic in terms of like, I'm getting less views on my listings. I have to slash slash prices, and to know that like if you have a consistent strategy, that there is a way to make it through and get to the other end of the tunnel is, I think, a really, really important message to put out there right now.
You know, and what I love most about it is the low barriers of entry. The only thing that I needed to get going in this was $200 in a garage. You know, you don't even need the garage. That's optional. I know people who started flipping just using their living room, you know, a couple of people who helped me out. And, you know, I go back to my story when I was getting going in Hawaii. When I moved into base housing after I had that light bulb moment, I started renting out other people's garages. I knocked on my neighbor's door. I saw that they don't really use it. They just kind of park their car in there from time to time. I was like, bro, I'll pay you $150 a month if you let me put a couple of couches in there. And, you know, they were all for it. That was another big idea for scaling, came from there. Then in my truck, I had 5 garage door openers just chilling, like up in the visor. So I would meet people, because again, I was on the military base. So I would have to meet people at the gate and sponsor them on, you know, with a military ID. And they would say, yeah, we really like that beige couch set. So in my head, I'm going through my Rolodex of garage door openers. I'm like, oh, shoot, was it Rich's or Steve's? Oh, no, that's Mark's. All right, we got to go to Mark's house. You know, we go over there and I use their garage door. It was a wild beginning. But the thing that's crazy about it, as wild of a business as it was, like that was the Wild West of Griff's Furniture Emporium, it still was wildly successful. It was very successful. And in my opinion, it wasn't I didn't think it was a great customer experience, but I think they appreciated it because I had a story attached to it. For me, it's a military family. It's a military household, small business. And now, Charles, I want you to think of it this way. If you're walking down the street, you see a lemonade stand, right? It's a little girl. She's trying to save up some money so she can buy a bike, right? And then across the street from her, you see a vending machine selling far superior lemonade, right? The little girl's selling it for like $5 in the vending machine. You know, that's way more tasty. You know, they got the formula down right. You know, they're charging, we'll say, you know, $1.50, much cheaper. 10 times out of 10, I'm going to that little girl in the lemonade stand because I love the story. I love the story of what she's trying to do. You know, she's an entrepreneur, you know, my heartstrings. And I think people in general want to celebrate small business and the story surrounding it. So I think not just the fact that you offer great couches, unbelievable price. You want to really attach what your story is and let your customers in on it. You know, if you're starting a family, it doesn't matter, you know, whatever it is. For me, active duty in the Marine Corps, you want to just be able to, it takes a little bit of vulnerability because some people want to be private, and I respect that and I understand that. But if you can leverage your own personal story and the way you're able to let your customers in on that, I think you're just going to kill the competition. That also gives you the ability to even have higher prices. Because now, again, if you have the story attached that you're trying to, say, for instance, if you're trying to grow your family, you know, if you're trying to save some money for your kid's college fund and stuff like that, letting them on, a lot of the times your customers have that same stuff going on in their lives. So they're like, why wouldn't I help this guy out? It doesn't make any sense. This guy's got the couch that I want, a beautiful price. He's going to deliver it to me, and he's got his kid's future in mind. I mean, it's a home run. And that's one of the biggest things that I can, to other furniture flippers, is even if you seem like vulnerable and stuff like that, open up your own, you know, what's going on in your world, and let your customers, let them know your story. Because again, having that story is going to create customer loyalty. And not only are they going to love the couch, they're going to start telling their friends about you as well. They're going to be, whenever they go to the store, whenever they have, you know, people over for dinner, their friends are going to say, where did you get this sectional from? And then that's when they start talking about, oh, that you got to get this. I got this from Griff. You know, he's active duty in the Marine Corps. He's got an 8-year-old at home. You know, he's a small family business run. Sorry, bud. Those customers just left. I'm gonna go back inside so we can have a better setting. All right.
Griff, I think you make such an important point there. It's really underrated. People are not only buying your product, they're buying your story, they're buying your brand. And these preferences extend beyond just offering superior product at a superior price point. Now, I think if in the long run, your business isn't optimized around offering a good product and service at a reasonable price point, then you're sort of missing the mark fundamentally. But the story is important. People want to buy into something that they can relate to, they can connect to. And in our society today, I think this is a big part of what people feel like is missing, right? It's like the erosion of the middle class, the ability for, you know, me to go work and support my family and feel like adequately compensated. And so when they see someone else going for it and putting in the hard work, because flipping furniture is not like buying Bitcoin and get rich quick. It is like nitty gritty hard labor to go pick up a sectional for someone, deliver it to the next person, and to be prospering off of that, like, I think that's a big deal. And then, I think some of the best marketing that I've seen in the couch game is where flippers put their family, like integrate their family into their brand. So it's like, hey, you're not just buying a couch from me. It's like, here's my wife, here are my 2 kids.
Dylan he's the king of that, man. And that's not a lot of people are open to it. Dylan Poppy, I apologize if I'm messing up his last name, but yeah, he is awesome with that. I love it. He's got that billboard going with his family, and it takes a certain kind of temperament. You got to be comfortable with it, but if you are, you're gonna crush the competition, because again, like you were saying, offering quality prices and a great service, that you got it. That's the foundation. Got to do it. But now bringing it to the next level, showing that you're a family man, showing what your intentions are, that you want to either help the community or whatever your cause is going to set you apart even further.
Yeah, like people want to support the small business. People want to support the military. I mean, that's probably a great part of your narrative, right?
100%. Yeah, because all the other all the other furniture stores around here, it's like Ashley's Furniture, Furniture Fair. It's just some rich guy that nobody knows anything about, right? So now this is a predominantly military town. It's all, we have 3 military bases, within like 10 miles, and all of them, all things being equal, you want to do business with your friends or somebody that you have in common. So, there are times where, our sectionals, they're not the best price. Maybe they see it for sale from somebody on Facebook Marketplace who's just another user selling it to somebody else. That happens. But all things being equal, if our prices are competitive enough, even if they're a little bit more than other people, they're going to want to do business with me because I'm a fellow Marine. I'm a small business. They don't want to make somebody else rich like, Sam Walton or somebody like that. They're going to go after the small businesses. What I worry, and I see a lot of people do it, because, a lot of people from the No Nonsense Couch Flipping group, they'll reach out and they'll ask me like how to help them. Maybe they're struggling with sales. They're just looking for inspiration. I see a lot of guys just trying to make their business look as professional and like they are a big box store, like they are Big Lots or Walmart or, any of these other huge, Ashley's Furniture. They're trying to be so official. And I think what they're doing is like they're shooting themselves in the foot. You're taking away a huge competitive advantage of staying small. You want to stay small so that your identity resonates with the customers. And that goes back, it's a throwback to waiting for everything to be perfect. They're trying to be as perfect as possible. And, they're selling even like the new couches out of the box. Like it's like they're already up there with Big Lots or some kind of like some of the other big box companies. When you do that, I really do think you're creating more problems for yourself. People are going to be like, oh, it's just another big box store. Why would I do business with him? I'll find something on Facebook Market and find something used cheap.
People want to believe in small business, and I think it's harder than ever to be small business in certain aspects. Like supply chains are globalized or at least national. So like when you're selling things locally, you're competing with online retailers, and that's an effect that we saw demolish brick and mortar retailers in the turn of the century. Big bulky items are sort of protected from that. They're harder to move and ship. And used furniture is a very specific niche of big bulky items because you need to have local infrastructure to process returns. So we're in this sort of insulated area of the economy from the effect of the internet and globalization. But in general, it's hard to run a small business. Furniture flipping is sort of unique in the opportunity that it presents. Right? Because if you're like a small business selling hardware, probably out of business, right? You're a hardware store, probably out of business. People go to Home Depot, and even Home Depot, they just get it on Amazon. So people want to believe in small business because those are your neighbors, or the people that you're connected to, that's your family member. And then it feels accessible. It's like, I could do that. If I really wanted to build something for myself, I could do it and be an entrepreneur. I could do that. But instead, what we see are these big monolithic corporations, Walmart, nameless, faceless. We don't know who's really at the receiving end of each transaction, tech executives, these board members, the shareholders, and it just feels alien and unhuman. So there's something really powerful to offer a beacon of light and to create opportunity, or like show people that these kinds of opportunities do exist even in the modern era, so that we don't forget. I think there's a downside to being in 2024. If you're in a pocket of the economy that's just been like crushed by the internet and globalization, that's really tough. But at the same time, the information and the resources to go and build a business for yourself have never been as abundant. So if you have a phone, you have some ambition, you have like 2 cents to like rub together in your head, then you can probably go make something happen. And that is really, to me, couch flipping is about, why I love couch flipping, why we're in this market, why we want to support people who are side hustling, trying to do better for themselves. So I think this is such a super cool topic. To pivot over a little bit, let's go a little bit wider focus on the business. We talked about the beginning, but where are we at today? Like, what does Griff's Furniture Emporium look like in 2024?
So right now we got about 5 or 6 employees. We do, on average, it's, over the year, we have like maybe 2.5 sales per day. We average about the same in acquisitions. Honestly, there was a turning point about maybe 3.5 years ago where the money that I'm making from my business eclipsed what I was making in the Marine Corps. It's just slowly but surely steadily gotten bigger. From my first brown sectional that I had in my living room in 2013 until now. I mean, the biggest struggle that I had to go through was, I went on recruiting duty. I went on recruiting duty, and what that is basically you're a salesman for the Marine Corps. You're finding the next generation. So while I was doing that, I was stationed here in North Carolina, where the business was, where it was housed, where it was stationed. But my recruiting orders were in New Jersey. So I got pulled from North Carolina and went to New Jersey. In my head, I'm thinking I need an exit strategy. I'm gonna have to shut it down. I'm gonna be plucked from my business as the main operator. I was basically doing everything, and now that's it. The side hustle, it's all gonna go away. But what it did, it kind of extracted a little bit of creativity, and it forced me. It was a forcing function to be able to trust this business to somebody else, because I had 2 options. Either I could close it or I could trust it with somebody else. What I did is I hired on as a friend of mine. His name was Otto. We worked together in the Marine Corps. He's also another fellow entrepreneur. He does like a reptile breeding business, which is a wild side hustle in and of itself. But he helped manage it. He basically he found a lot of great employees, and he started really bringing it to the next level with more people. And for me, it was anxiety provoking, because not only was I going to be away from the business, but now it's like, the way I look at it is, this business is my baby, and now the baby is leaving home. It's like it was like its first day of school. Now I had to trust my baby in the hands and the care of somebody else, and that's for anybody who's a parent, you understand the anxiety that's associated. You just hope that other people are going to treat your baby the way that you hope it to be treated, that you would treat it. And I just did a lot of thinking about it, and I was like, I don't know if we could curse you. I was like, fuck it, let's do it. It turned into something good. Was it run exactly how I would have run it? But that, it brings me back to, it doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be good enough. The great thing is that the business is so resilient. It's such a great business that even though it wasn't perfect, it wasn't run exactly how I would have run it, it still grew. It still grew exponentially. And, that's the only thing that I was really doing, was either giving the thumbs up or the thumbs down of whether or not we'll do a certain acquisition. I developed the prices, and then I transferred money. That was my interaction. That's what my role was while I was in New Jersey. And, just putting it kind of in the employees' hands, and, just trusting God, knowing that the business is resilient and a really good team would form. I mean, I was blessed to really have some great partners that came in here. But I do believe that it helped them out in a lot of ways. I've had a ton of employees over the years. And the great thing is that this business it's very simple. Like, as we talked to, it's basically like a lemonade stand, but it just, the margins are really good. I mean, it's very simple. You have a sectional, you clean it up, you sell it to somebody, throw it in the back of a trailer or a truck, and deliver it. I mean, it's as basic as it gets, but we were fortunate enough to offer commissions, a good hourly wage, flexible schedules. And I think it had helped out a lot of people. Going back to the anxiety associated with being away from it, like I think it was 8 hours away from it, and in New Jersey, 8 hours away from here. So I couldn't, like, if things went bad, I couldn't jump down here over the weekend. I was too busy recruiting, which, that job in and of itself, it takes all of your attention. But in my head, when I was in New Jersey, I assumed that I thought it was gonna fail. I thought it was just gonna stop and shut down. Luckily, we had some really great guys in here. It grew, and it actually was like stress relief while I was recruiting. Even if I had a bad day recruiting, I couldn't find somebody to join the Marines, I would sell a sectional or two, and that would keep my spirits up.
There you go. You got to diversify a little bit. I think there are always these moments in business where things happen that get us out of our comfort zone, and maybe these are bad changes too in the grand scheme of things, but it's how you adapt to those changes, consistent with this theme of adaptation, that really makes a difference. You didn't like it at first, in terms of the business outcomes, like, what do I do if I can't operate my business? But in the long term, it turned out to be a good thing. I'll say a very similar thing about what happened with us in the couch flipping market. When we first got into couch flipping market, not a whole lot of competition. in when it comes to software. And nowadays, there's a lot more people trying to gun for the same market, build similar tools as us. And at first, yeah, I didn't like it because it's like, now you have to compete. And it's always better to not compete. I think in general, like today, I would say I have a positive outlook on the competition in general. Like, I think it's good that the competition is here. I think it creates a better environment for flippers. They can get like different options in terms of what's going to fit their needs. And now we have to be more competitive in terms of pricing and the features that we offer. So it tests us to become a better company. I will say I don't appreciate how certain people go about running their business. And like, we try to keep everything above board in the software world. Yeah, like we try to be above board. If we could all play it like nicer, that would be better for me. But other than that, like I think the competition, which I initially did not really enjoy, has turned out to be a net positive for us too, because like now we're thinking much more creatively about what our business is, where we have to go, and just like overall the future of the business. I think it's given us more of a purpose, a mission, and a resilience to how we're approaching the evolution of Ivy.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And I think I don't want to just say bumper sticker statements, but like necessity breeds creativity. And if somebody is in the software world that you're in, and even if they're kicking your butt, which I don't think that's what's happening, it's going to force you to be innovative. Now you're going to come up with new ideas with like identifying scammers or doing the cross listing. And it's going to, you have to think outside the box. And that's what is going to extract more good ideas. And just like everybody on the no nonsense couch flipping group or any of these stuff, like nobody really likes competition. My philosophy with it is instead of just doing head to head direct competition, I try to be creative with it. And most of the couch flippers that, would be competition, we have a couple of guys around here. One dude's name is Jason. One's name is Frank. I partner up with them, to be honest with you. For the most part, I use them as an outlet to acquire couches. There have been instances where we've sold to them, but for the most part, like I'll wait until they have a bunch of inventory because they get overstocked just like we get overstocked. And then I'll hit him up if we have a couple of holes in our warehouse, a couple of spaces to fill. And then I'll do like 3, 4, 5 sectional deals with them. And it's a win-win, because they're looking to open up some space in their warehouse. And that's the important, that's the important thing. I think if you get creative with it, because sometimes our warehouse might be overstocked with a certain type, like gray L-shaped sectionals or brown U-shapes, something like that. So we kind of have to diversify the warehouse with different styles, like power sectionals or something like that. If I see that Frank or Jason has it, we do deals. We got to work together, and I think it's just better for everybody in general.
It's funny how like the narrative has changed in the couch flipping community, because even like 6 months ago, we as a company were getting a ton of flack. We still kind of do today, but it's sort of died down a little bit in terms of like introducing more couch flippers into the game. More couch flippers are getting in. It's more competitive, harder for me to make money. So that was on the horizon, and that was definitely irritating some people. I tend to be a controversial.
You're gonna always
figure.
have haters, man. Yeah. I got tons of haters too. If you don't have haters, you're not successful. If you don't have haters, there's no way you're actually successful.
But I never felt some type of way about that, because to me, like we try to run business the right way, and I don't think there's not a single person on this planet that we have done business with that I think has a legitimate claim that we have mistreated them in some way. And we just try to do business in the right way. But
that's it. When you put your head down at night, if you could sleep easy, that's the most important thing. It doesn't matter what any just random says on Facebook or what their perspective is, because they don't know the whole story and they don't know what you're doing and the people that you're helping. So if you're gonna have haters, that's their issue to deal with. And the more you do business, the more you grow and you change. I'm not going to say early in my days, I did some sketch stuff. You heard of like the Wolf of Wall Street? I was the Wolf of furniture flipping. I did some stuff that I'm not proud of. Maybe we'll talk about it on the podcast. I'll open up on it. But I used to do some real sharp negotiating tactics that I'm not proud of. I'm definitely not proud of. And I'll absolutely talk about them. But I don't want other people to use them because they are highly immoral. Yeah, I had tons of haters from it because I would use these techniques, and then they would see that I was reselling this sectional, and now they're going all over the Facebook marketplace or the like you have the local groups. They would screenshot my account, along with the sectional, and be like, "Don't buy from this guy. He's just buying and reselling your stuff." Because I would piss them off. I would tell them that we were gonna use it for personal use. Me and my wife, we just got married. We don't have much money for a sectional. Would you be able to do, they have it listed for 800. Would you be able to do 300? And now I'm appealing to their charitable side, because, they just got married. They're just like me. I remember when we just got married, we didn't have a lot of money for furniture. Sure. we'll do 300 for you, right? And then I would buy it and then turn around and then sell it for 1,000. I mean, that was so immoral, bro, but it worked. It worked really well. I'm not saying anybody should do that, because what does that lead to? Well, it leads to just hostility. Those same people that you did business with are going to take screenshots of you and say, like, stay clear from this guy. He scammed me. And there's a lot of things I had to learn the hard way. And, while it was profitable case by case, like transaction to transaction, in the long run, it hurt me for developing my brand.
Right. It's short-term thinking, right? And like made some money in those individual transactions, but those are relationships you potentially could have built on, reputation that you could have built on. And that's the interesting thing about couch flipping in general now, is that it's sort of emerging from the shadows, and people are standing up and saying, like, being proud to be a couch flipper, and they're telling people, hey, like, I flip couches, my business. And like you were saying, repping small business, and people respect the hustle. Not everyone, you're always going to have some haters, but
I usually say resell. I don't like saying flipping. Some people think flipping is like a dirty word. Some people. I'm not saying everybody.
Yeah. No, there is a distinction. I'm trying to understand the distinction too, but that's probably a topic for another day. But circling back to what I was saying about like the sentiment in the community, or the discussion in the community has sort of changed in the past 6 months, is that there was a lot of hubbub about competition 6 months ago, but now it's all about scammers. And it turns out the real threat to couch flipping as an industry was not competition, people coming and going and trying to make money. It's the marketplaces that these businesses are built on. It's a real issue. At Ivy Flip, we scrape in the neighborhood of 8 to 10,000 listings a day, just couch listings, and across, across
and I
the
love
US.
that you have the scam alert on there. That little, like, this could be a scam. I love that. That's very useful.
Yeah, we've developed this proprietary scam filtering algorithm to try and detect which of the listings are scams based on things like account age. The images are another important piece of this, because scammers often reuse images between listing to listing, and in addition to a variety of other factors. But something like 20 to 30% of the listings that we pull in daily are scams. That's a huge, huge chunk of the overall marketplace. We're talking about like 1/5 to 1/3 of listings being scams. So that's 1 out of 5 to 1 out of 3. Let's just say 1 out of 4. So for your average flipper, this is a problem if you're trying to find inventory to buy. But for your average consumer, this is a nightmare, because flippers, we sort of have this.
Yeah, we're savvy. We understand. We can see it a mile away. Yeah. But to the general population, no way. Yeah, they're getting better. Charles, they're getting really good. Like, I'll never give a deposit. I mean, that is something that local people, the general customer base, would do that, and I could see that and understand it, because the scammers have such an unbelievable deal that you're like, all right, yeah, I'll give you $50, just hold it for me. I'll be there in an hour, right? And then they give you an address that's like an abandoned home. So yeah, it's so frustrating.
Yeah. So for the average consumer, now it's like they're actually getting scammed, and if they do know that they're scams, they're like, how do you separate what's real from fake? Also, we artificially are inflating the number of listings in a given area by 20, 30%. So in terms of the attention of the consumer, you're competing against fakes now too. So the overall effect of this is that views on listings are depressed, sales are depressed. I think the other effect that we're facing is that we're headed into summer. I don't know about your data, but my data suggests that summer is historically a slow period for couch flipping.
Oh yeah, any month that starts with a J is slow for us for the most part. January, because everybody's in Christmas debt, but yeah, for some reason June and July have our sales are historically lower. But knock on wood, June has been pretty good for us so far.
There you go. So I think there's like the summer slump that like I feel the impact of, or like in our customer base.
Probably because of Ivy Flip. I think that's why June is so good for us, because Ivy Flip is crushing it.
Hey, you heard it here first. But yeah, so, and what we have seen, views are depressed on listings is empirical data. And the things that are like most successful flippers are doing is they're diversifying off of Facebook Marketplace. So it's like they either have a retail channel, like a direct brick and mortar presence or e-commerce presence. They have something like a Facebook group, Instagram page where they kind of own their own audience, or they're shifting to OfferUp. Some of our best sellers, I just did this podcast with Tyler Hoyle. He has my couch flipping business out in Arizona, 5,400 square foot warehouse. They flip 13 B-stock truckloads a month. So they're doing some big numbers there. And of course, they're sourcing online. They use Ivy Flip for that as well. But 50% of his business is just on OfferUp. And the strategy that they're using to be successful on OfferUp is they relist every day. The difference in like Facebook and OfferUp is Facebook, if you put up a listing, they'll kind of like spread out the views throughout the time period that it's listed, and then you can refresh the listing every week. But on OfferUp, if you look at the graph for views, it goes up and then down, and it's like basically a day. And their business model is after 15 posts, I believe, they charge you $1 per post on OfferUp. And so what he does, Tyler is the number one user of cross-listing. So shout out to you, Tyler, and his podcast will be out probably before this episode. He takes down all of his OfferUp listings every day, and then he relists them every day. And he uses the Ivy Flip cross-listing app for that, because if you do it manually on OfferUp, you have to go and like actually create the listing on your phone. There's no copy or relist feature. But with the Ivy Flip cross-listing app, you can copy the listing and post it again with the click of a button. So just a little idea for those of you that are struggling with sales and the summer slump and the scammers that are out lately, that maybe you can shift some of your attention to OfferUp and find some success there.
Yeah, where I'm at in Jacksonville right now, I mean, I hope maybe it'll change with the influx of scammers, but OfferUp is barren. It's like a desert. Not so many people use that, unfortunately. I love it though. Where I was at in New Jersey, OfferUp is huge. But yeah, for whatever reason, Jacksonville's not a big user of OfferUp. But things change. I'm sure that it will here eventually, or something new, shiny and new will come out.
Depends on your metro area, of course. But as we were talking about, demand for couches never dies. It's a bulletproof industry in that sense. And so if Facebook is not a functional marketplace, then that demand, it'll just shift to somewhere else. And if OfferUp is on top of their scam and their business there, then they're going to potentially take that market share away from Facebook. So interesting things to be on the lookout for. Griff, we're about at our hour here. I appreciate you taking the time speaking with me today. We have a lot of interesting topics that we're going to dig into the future. Griff has agreed to come on and do a couple more episodes with me. So you guys on the pod can stay tuned. Expect to see him on some future episodes. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, Charles. Thanks for having me. It was a great time, man.